Welcome back to Kopitiam Council. And this time around, as I think we talked about this 2 months ago when Trump had a debate with Biden. But now, Biden no more. Kamala Harris is in place versus Donald Trump. And 2 weeks ago, the debate happened. This is the first time they had a debate, against each other. And what do you think, Adi? Who do you think shine in the debate?
It's the same question to you, who shined during Trump versus Biden. I'd say none of them. I'd just say that I think this time around, Trump had a bit more against him. He had a more sharper opponent this time around that's able to deflect or even dodge a lot of the things that he was accusing. But overall, I think the debate was a complete mess. Like it was both candidates was dodging every single question presented by the host. When they talk about anything, they straight away say that, oh, we have a plan in place. What kind of plan? Or they don't mention, I know that it's just going to be better than compared to my opponent over there who did this, who did that, who things were bad under. And then you pass it over to Trump and says, oh, no, that's a lie. She's not saying, what she's saying is not true. I had the best presidency ever. So that's just that kind of back and forth, the perfect kind of slop that most, I think, middle IQ regular people in America would just gobble up, saying, "Oh, he beat his opponent with facts and logic," kind of argument, saying that, "Oh, this guy's isn't afraid. They're just combative with each other," and that's how I felt throughout the entire debate. Like, there's nothing substantive, there's nothing technical, there's nothing that actually addresses the main worries that most Americans have, which is the cost of living, rising prices in food, in oil, and all kinds of things, and especially housing. So, what does that leave us? Because I went back and looked at the debates between Al Gore, even going back as JFK, and these are light years difference. Even though they talked about the same issues back then they were all talking about cost of living and all that, and it's the same as it is now. But the level of respect and the level of showmanship is drastically different from one another, and I think this is just I think a lot of Americans have a right to be disappointed with the debate, and with not many days left before the presidential election. I think we are the world is the poorer for either candidate, really. I cannot see any prospects for any both of these candidates. So, what about you, Haffiz? Maybe you have a more optimistic outlook.
Optimistic, maybe not, but here's three things that at least I would like to highlight here. So number one, I think first of all, kudos to the host, ABC network, that actually has two moderators that actually do some fact checkings compared to, in the past, CNN, not so much of fact checking. So they would let Trump talking nonsense every minute of his speaking time during the debates. But this time, the moderator actually tried to intervene and stop Trump, saying that no, that's not true. This is the fact check, blah 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 blah. So I think that's kudos to moderators that know that fake news is not just minor things. It's actually a real threat to democracy, especially when someone's talking is a former president of United States, and saying the things like Haitian people, immigrant people, eating cats and dogs, especially. So this is something unheard of, and terrible things. And of course, moderator came in and says that's not true. So that's number one, what I like. Number two is that I think I like the way, because I think also Kamala came into the debate thinking himself as David, not Goliath. I think Trump would see himself as a Goliath. So with this mentality, I think Kamala brought a lot of receipts, meaning that he actually quote Trump's on ridiculous things that he said in the past, and that definitely messing with his mind. So that's good, I think, in terms of, especially when he quote Trump's all the nonsense that he said, and then Trump just looked disoriented and tried to repeat all this rhetoric again that yeah, but the immigrants are eating our cats and dogs. So that's, you see him derail from his focus. Thirdly, Adi, what I like about that, Trump actually took the bait when, especially when Kamala tried to ridicule his crowd during his one of his campaign, and he immediately startled and said, no, no, mentioning that the thousands of people that stayed until the end. I know I'm not doing the best Trump impression here, but that's how he reacted, straightly trying to, it's like kids. Like, I
Yeah,
have big
exactly.
toys. No, mine is bigger. I have bigger toys. So this is the kind of, like you mentioned, Adi, this is the kind of people that actually applying for the most important jobs in the world. This is not the most important job in the United States of America. This is for the job of the most important job in the world. Then what happened, Adi? Mostly throughout the debate is that few other things that I don't like is that there's a little mention about Israel genocide here. I mean, it's almost 1 year. And these two had their first debate, but almost zero mentions of Gaza. There's a little bit, but of course we know Kamala is complicit in this. Trump also complicit in this, but even moderator didn't really spark on asking very important questions about Gaza. So this is very important to see what is the outlook for American foreign policy if one of them were to become a president. Yet, no discussion about Gaza. Secondly, climate change. Again, America is one of the largest economy in the world. Of course, they're one of the biggest pollutant, contributing to pollution in the world. Yet, there's no talk about what they talk about. Like I mentioned, immigrants eating cats of other people's pets. That's what they talk about. So this is kind of nonsense they talk about, and all this important discourse that should take place never mentioned at all. And I think the last thing is that what we should highlight is that Trump is not that far off from Biden. Biden were forced to excuse himself from the race because of his old age. Donald J. Trump is 78 years old, and he also cannot differentiate between West Virginia and Virginia every time he talks in the debate. So again, we have a man not coherent with his speech, and people don't call him out for that. Of course, Biden, did very worse. He couldn't even string a proper sentence, but Trump is not far off. Why are we not talking about his age as well? The fact that he cannot deliver a fact, all of coming from his mouth is just nonsense. And these are the two people Americans have to choose coming to November.
Yeah, it's like I said, I was looking at the previous debates by previous presidential candidates back then in the 2000s, the 90s, and even JFK's era, and very different level of sophistication, articulation, technical know-how. So I don't know if this reflects on the leaders or what the people in the United States wants. So I guess we have to admit, like Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, they're not stupid by any means of the imagination. Both are very successful in what they do. One is a public prosecutor, very seasoned legal expert, and the other one is a businessman who carved out his own fortune and fame. So these are people that know what they are talking about. And I think the delivery is intentional, just to rile each other up. It's not about who has the best policies. I think in terms of policy-driven discussion, are we any different from that as well? We in Malaysia also don't really have any policy-driven discussion amongst our leaders at all, or even our MPs. It's all about who can make the other side look worse. It's who can throw the other side under the bus, and that was the entire, I feel, the debate. And like you said, it was good that the ABC Network moderators kept calling out. I think it was mostly at Mr. Trump saying stuff like, executing babies after full term. Is like, of course that doesn't happen. But yeah, like I said, I think it's who says these kinds of things unless they're really just trying to get a reaction out of people, trying to say these kinds of things. So I don't think it's far off the mark when Kamala Harris kept bringing up Project 2025 and Trump's association with it. Like, okay, I haven't read the full reports, but it's like 900 pages long. I don't know who would want to go through all that kind of conservative, because I read the introduction. It was all about trying to restore America under conservative leadership, trying to go against the woke revolution. So you kind of know that this is a very neocon way of approaching things. So definitely on the spectrum where it's definitely hinging on the alt-right kind of narrative, very neocon narrative. And, they've latched on to Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump denies, saying that, oh, I'm not involved in any of that. I haven't even read the report out of principle. Well, we only can take your word for it, and your word has been inconsistent at best. So maybe he has advisors who do tell him about all these things. If he's very proud to fire a lot of the people he claims to have in the debate, he should fire whoever has trying to push this whole agenda for 2025, because it looks like it's just another neocon spiel. Just rabbit hole of neocon rhetoric that he just hates immigrants and just wants to punish brown people for being brown or not even white. So that is how I feel. But I think moving forward, because we don't have many days left to the election itself. So I think this is the perfect time to actually lock in supporters, saying, okay, I think it's hard to convince anyone really if they've already taken a side. And I think in terms of fence sitting, this makes things even more ambiguous. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a few protest votes as well in a few states. So it's, in my opinion, the Republican voters definitely know what they want, and Democrat voters kind of know what they want. And I think what motivates them is more about what they don't want. They vote for the candidate they want because they are very wary of the opponent. It's not more so because they support the candidate. It's more so because they just don't support the opponent. From I can see, but America has hundreds of millions of people, so I could be wrong in that regard. But that is something we always have to take into account. There's always that fog of war when it comes to predicting all these election results, because Trump says that, oh no, all these people like what I say, a lot of people like what I said, what I do. Kamala Harris turns around and says, no, a lot of people didn't like what you said, they like what I said. So that who can you trust? Who can you believe? This is very locked in, and I don't think. I didn't think I was surprised when I watched the entire debate and think that, oh, why should I expect something technical or substantial? I think Kamala Harris tried to sort of bring the conversation there, but of course she spent a lot of the time as well just deflecting or even attacking former President Donald Trump's statements, very wild, crazy statements saying like, oh, babies who are carried to term are being executed, or immigrants eating cats and dogs, and the only proof, he says, just trust me, bro, I've talked to people and their pets are being eaten. So there you go.
Like I mentioned also, the things that a little mentioned about Gaza, is also going to affect how brown people are going to vote, because traditionally colored people would vote for Democrats, but the fact that Kamala did not really making this as her main campaign point, so I think brown and especially Muslims in America would be having a question mark, because especially in the swing states like Michigan, it could cost the Democrats on these votes. Of course, these swing states, it could go to anyone, and if Kamala didn't seize this, from Trump, it could be another maybe brown or people not going to the ballot counters, and Trump, they do not necessarily have to vote for Trump, but the fact that they would abstaining from voting could contributing to Trump to victory. So this is a natural consequences that could happen if Kamala don't take action on this, especially if she's keep her mouth shut on how America under her leadership would act on Israel and Gaza. So that's one thing. Second thing is that Kamala with the whole Democrats have to realize also that Republican could actually just not do anything and win the election, because all of these electorates, of course, for those who know how American politics works, election works, is that they would represented by this what do you call representative for each state. So with currently this representative of bias towards Trump could just saying nonsense like he did and still win the election. So it's Democrats to lose these elections, and what they're doing is not enough. They need to be more aggressive, and especially on economic plan as well. We have not heard any concrete plan from both sides, actually, from Trump and Kamala Harris. So these are for the mostly middle income people that and of course lower income people to actually uh, have a sense of where they're heading, America's heading, in this uh, turmoil of economy where, like you mentioned, food prices, oil and energy are just going up through the roof. So it's very important that they go through this. But if I were Trump, I would not have any more debates. This is just, I'm just gonna go my campaign to each or states and keep focusing on it, because any more debates, I think Trump cannot handle the first one, and it's a projection that he will lose even more, a few points behind Kamala if he tries to do so. So it's it's a safe bet for Trump to just step back, do what he does best, riling up his little crowd, 500 people, and just maybe try to get assassinated again so that you could get some sympathy votes from certain people. Just recently he got a second assassination attempt, and who knows, they would probably the third one.
Yeah, it's very this. I mean, he just came in without ever really acknowledging it, really. So a lot of kudos for his guts, so and all that. But yeah, I think I would agree when it comes to his next few strategies is to just go out there and just keep campaigning and rallying and just saying what making his provocative statements and jostling the crowd for more votes. This is, I think. In a way, I feel it's in a race to the bottom between these two candidates. I think in 2016, Trump, in a way, pioneered I wouldn't say pioneer, but I think he was at the forefront of creating this new wave of politics, which is just to play into everyone's fears, the scapegoating, the bringing up of very traditional conservative ideas, like the resurgence of this whole conservative right-wing rise in populist rhetoric, which became very infectious for a lot of states across the world. The UK had a lot of that with Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson. Then you have which we covered a few times, which is in France, the rise of the right wing rhetoric. And I think this is what Trump has brought to the table and kind of changed the landscape, saying the most anti-intellectual things, or just straight to the point, or just very blunt. In a way, I think that's very endearing for people. It's like, this guy just doesn't care. He just says what he wants, and he knows that he can get away with it. I mean, felony cases, how many other court cases does he have? He still gets away with it. I think, if people don't like his policies, they can still admire the charisma that he just exudes. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to play by the rules. I'm just going to say what I say. Just in a very a big misanthrope, troublemaker. So what you see of Trump is what you get, and I think that's what people identify with when they support him. And I think him and his team understand that. Make it simple as possible, make it as provocative and emotional as possible, make sure everyone can get angry, is what he would be able to say. And I think that is where the Democrats does not have a monopoly on. It's a monopoly of being able to play down everything just to make it so compact and easy digestible. Because Democrats, they do like to talk about like social responsibility or fiscal responsibility or any kind of social justice as well, which are things that easily Donald Trump and Republicans just say, "Oh well, that's all fake. That's all. Who cares? Why should we care about any of these things? We should." So yeah, in a way, the bulldozing aspect of it is what drives it. But I think at the end of the day, we should be happy that they can still have debates, though. Like the Americans, they can still have their own debates, even though it transformed from presidential debates to popcorn entertainment. They still have these kinds of platforms where they get to know what their leaders really are about. Compared to over here in Malaysia, where the only significant debate we've ever had was between Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim and Najib Razak. We should, even though people say we shouldn't have these because we don't have a debate culture, but we should be taking cues like how not to run a debate and then employ it here, so that people here would know what it means to pick a leader based on what they bring to the table. If not, you'll end up just like what we see in America, which is who can be the most obnoxious and who can make their opponent look like the biggest fool between those two. So yeah, I think I've always said we should have debates as well between our leaders, show that their caliber and merit, but not emulate. We could not emulating the American style. Maybe we could have emulated it, the style that was 30 years ago or 20 years ago, but not the style that's going on now, not the politics that is ongoing in America. Overall, I think this has been one whole mess of, but at the same time, it's very entertaining as well. But I'm not going to go on the whole high horse, say, haha, this is so silly. Look, I'm above it and laughing. No, it's still going to have a lot of consequences and ramifications for the world, because these are very different types of leaders. But I think they would follow each other's policies to an extent. The Biden administration follow a lot of the same policies that the Trump administration has done, especially regarding China. So I think we would see a similar outlook or outcome regardless of who wins this presidential election. Our relationship with America, with Malaysia and America, would still be maintained under the same level, I think, regardless if it is Kamala Harris or if it is Donald Trump. So, yeah, that's just a closing remark from me.
Absolutely agree with you, Eddie. I think Malaysia should emulate having a presidential prime minister debate. If I were Anwar Ibrahim, I know that I'm a good orator. I will pick. I will definitely implement this. I would definitely do this, and I would kill my opponent on stage on national television for everyone else to see. And I think having a debate also is very good. That because we can. This is one of the rare platform where we can call out our political opposition. So Anwar says that. He always have this trouble where he would say one thing and then other people would try to spin it, and they would they bring this to social media, especially TikTok. Now he has the platform. Call those oppositions. You may say Hamza or Muhyiddin Yassin, coming to next general elections, do debates like this. Even Indonesia do this for how many years now. So something that we can learn from our immediate neighbor. So that's the debate of U.S. presidential election. There's a lot of things that we can learn from the debate, not just the debate per se, but also how we can implement something similar in Malaysia moving forward. Next up, we're going to talk about domestic issue. And this is something, I would say rare occurrence. Well, Ray, is it Ray? I don't know.
Regardless, very dark and grim. Hopefully, we won't bring down the mood too much.
That's the right one. Dark and grim. Next up on the next episode.